He stood on that rooftop and announced to everyone exactly what kind of woman he wanted: delicate, pale, and quiet. What he didn't know was that the confident black woman who'd just moved in next door was standing 10 feet away, hearing every single word. She walked right up to him, introduced herself, and let him know in front of everyone that she definitely didn't qualify. They became neighbors separated by nothing but a thin balcony divider, and what started as humiliation turned into something neither of them expected. But when he had the chance to defend her in front of a crowd, not once, but twice, he chose silence over courage. She walked away in the rain and he was left standing alone, finally understanding what he'd lost. Subscribe and comment if you've ever called someone out for saying something they really shouldn't have, because this story is about to show you what happens when words come back to haunt you. The late afternoon sun painted the New York skyline in shades of gold and pink. Naomi Brooks stood near the edge of the rooftop, a glass of lemonade in her hand, watching the city stretch out below. She'd only moved into the building 3 days ago, and her roommate Lisa had insisted she come to this tenant mixer. "Come on, Naomi," Lisa had said that morning. "You can't hide in boxes forever. Meet the neighbors. Have some fun." So here she was, feeling slightly out of place in her yellow sundress, watching clusters of people laugh and talk. The rooftop was nice. String lights hung overhead, potted plants lined the edges, and someone had set up a table with snacks and drinks. Lisa appeared at her elbow. "See, not so bad, right?" "It's fine," Naomi said. She smiled, but her shoulders felt tight. Meeting new people always made her nervous, especially after everything with Andre. "That's the spirit," Lisa teased. "I'm going to grab some chips. You good here?" Naomi nodded. Lisa wandered off and Naomi turned back to the view. The city hummed below, alive and endless. This was why she'd moved here. A fresh start, a chance to rebuild herself. Behind her, male voices rose in laughter. Naomi didn't pay attention at first, but then one voice got louder, more confident. "I'm just saying, Marcus. I know what I want." The voice belonged to a man Naomi hadn't met yet. He stood near the drinks table with another guy, both holding beers. The speaker was tall, maybe 6 feet, with dark hair styled perfectly. He wore a crisp white shirt with the sleeves rolled up. Everything about him said successful, polished, in control. "And what's that?" the other man, Marcus, asked, grinning. The tall man took a sip of his beer. "I prefer delicate, pale, quiet women. Someone who fits the room, not overpowers it." Naomi's hand tightened around her glass. Marcus laughed. "Man, you sound like you're ordering furniture." "I'm serious," the man continued. "I want someone elegant, refined, not too much personality, you know. Someone who complements my life without making waves." The words hit Naomi like ice water. She turned slowly, her eyes finding the man who'd just spoken. He was still talking, gesturing with his beer, completely unaware that she stood only 10 feet away. Lisa returned with a plate of chips and froze when she saw Naomi's face. "What's wrong?" Naomi didn't answer. She set her glass down on a nearby table and walked toward the two men. Her heart pounded, but her steps were steady. The tall man was mid-sentence when Naomi stopped in front of him. "And honestly, I think a lot of guys settle for—" "Excuse me," Naomi said. Both men turned. Up close, she could see the tall man had green eyes. They widened slightly when he saw her. "Hi," Naomi said, keeping her voice calm. "I'm Naomi Brooks. I just moved into 4B. The man blinked, then smiled. It was a charming smile, the kind he probably used often. "Oh, welcome. I'm Ethan Cole. This is Marcus Hale." He gestured to his friend. "Nice to meet you," Marcus said, looking between them with curiosity. Naomi kept her eyes on Ethan. "I couldn't help overhearing your conversation." Ethan's smile faltered just a bit. "Oh? Yeah." She tilted her head. "Something about preferring delicate, pale, quiet women." The rooftop seemed to get quieter. Several people nearby stopped talking and turned to watch. Ethan's face went red. It's fine," Naomi said, her tone pleasant but sharp. "I just wanted to introduce myself so you'd know right away. I definitely don't qualify." She paused. "I'm not delicate, I'm not pale, and I'm certainly not quiet." Marcus coughed, trying to hide a laugh. Ethan looked like he wanted the rooftop to swallow him whole. "I didn't mean—" Ethan started. "Have a good evening, gentlemen." Naomi gave them a small smile, then turned and walked back to Lisa, her heart hammering, but her head held high. Lisa stared at her with wide eyes. "Oh my God. Did you just—" "Yeah," Naomi said quietly. "I did." Behind them, the rooftop slowly came back to life, conversations resuming in hushed tones. Naomi didn't look back at Ethan Cole, but she could feel his eyes on her, stunned and speechless. The next morning, Naomi was carrying the last box from her car when she heard footsteps behind her in the hallway. She'd made it to the 4th floor, sweating slightly from the effort, when a familiar voice said, "Need help with that?" She turned. Ethan Cole stood there in jeans and a grey t-shirt, looking considerably less polished than he had yesterday. His hair was slightly messy, and he held a coffee cup from the shop downstairs. "I've got it," Naomi said, shifting the box in her arms. "Right, of course." Ethan hesitated. "Look, about last night. Don't worry about it." Naomi moved toward her door, searching her pocket for her keys. "No, I need to apologize." Ethan took a step closer. "What I said was sexist, racist, incredibly rude." Naomi found her keys but didn't unlock the door yet. She looked at him, waiting. Ethan winced. "All of the above. I was showing off and I wasn't thinking. I'm really sorry." Naomi studied him. He looked genuinely uncomfortable, like a kid caught doing something wrong. Part of her wanted to just go inside and forget the whole thing. But another part, the part that was tired of men saying whatever they wanted without consequences, made her stay. "You know what bothered me most," she said quietly. "It wasn't just that you have a type. People have preferences, whatever, but the way you said it, like women are decorations, like we're just there to fit into your perfect picture." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You're right. That's exactly what it sounded like." He ran a hand through his hair. "I don't have an excuse. I was being an ass." Despite herself, Naomi almost smiled. At least he wasn't making excuses. "Apology noted," she said. She unlocked her door. "Wait," Ethan said. "You said you moved into 4B. "Yeah." He pointed at the door next to hers. "I'm in 4A. Of course he was. Naomi closed her eyes briefly. "Great. So we're neighbors." "Looks that way." They stood there awkwardly. Naomi could hear Lisa inside their apartment, singing off-key to music. "Well," Ethan said finally. "Welcome to the building." "Thanks." Naomi went inside and closed the door, leaning against it with a sigh. Lisa appeared from the kitchen, grinning. "Was that him? Tall guy with the coffee?" "Unfortunately." "He lives next door?" "Unfortunately." Lisa laughed. "Oh, this is going to be interesting." That evening, Naomi sat on the small balcony outside her bedroom window. The balcony was barely big enough for a chair and a plant, but she loved it. From here, she could see the city lights starting to come on as the sun set. She'd spent the day unpacking, trying not to think about Ethan Cole or his stupid comment, but it kept replaying in her mind. Not because it was the worst thing anyone had ever said, unfortunately she'd heard worse, but because of the casual way he'd said it, like it was just a fact. Like women who looked like her simply didn't fit into his world. Andre used to do that too. Different words, but the same energy. He'd loved her, he said, but he'd also spent 3 years trying to change her, soften her edges, make her smaller. Naomi pulled her knees to her chest. She was done being small. Next door, she heard a door slide open. Ethan's balcony was right beside hers, separated by a thin divider. She heard him sigh heavily, then the sound of him sitting down. For several minutes, neither of them spoke. Naomi wondered if he knew she was there. Then Ethan's voice drifted over. "I really am sorry, you know." Naomi didn't answer. "I know you probably don't care," he continued, "and you don't have to forgive me. But I've been thinking about what you said all day, and you were right. I sounded like a complete jerk." Naomi bit her lip. She could just stay quiet. Let him talk to himself, but something in his voice made her respond. "Why'd you say it?" A pause. "Honestly, I was trying to impress Marcus. He's always going on about his dating life, and I wanted to sound, I don't know, like I had my life figured out, like I knew exactly what I wanted. And do you?" Another pause, longer this time. "No," Ethan said quietly. "I really don't." The honesty surprised her. Naomi turned her head toward the divider, even though she couldn't see him. "Most people don't." "Yeah, well, I'm supposed to. I'm almost 30. Successful career, nice apartment. I should have it all together." "That's exhausting," Naomi said. She heard him laugh softly. "Tell me about it." They fell into silence again, but this time it felt different, less hostile, just two neighbors watching the city lights come on. "I'm Ethan, by the way," he said. "Officially." "Naomi." "I know. You mentioned it right before you destroyed me in front of everyone." This time Naomi smiled. "You deserved it. Completely deserved it," Ethan agreed. The breeze picked up, carrying the smell of rain. Naomi looked at the darkening clouds. "Storm's coming. Looks like it." She stood up, brushing off her jeans. "Good night, Ethan." "Good night, Naomi." She went inside, but before she closed the door, she glanced back. Through the gap in the divider, she could just see the edge of Ethan's shoulder as he sat there, still looking out at the city. The storm hit around 9 that night. Lightning cracked across the sky, and the rain came down in sheets. Naomi lit candles around the living room. The building was old, and power outages weren't uncommon during bad weather. Sure enough, 30 minutes later, everything went dark. "Of course," Lisa muttered from her bedroom. "I was right in the middle of a show." Naomi pulled a blanket around her shoulders. The apartment felt different in the candlelight. Smaller, cozier. She kind of liked it. A knock at the door made her jump. She opened it to find Ethan standing there with a flashlight. "Hey, just checking. You guys okay?" "We're fine," Naomi said. "Got candles and everything." "Good." He hesitated. "Power company says it might be a couple hours." "We'll survive." Another awkward pause. Thunder rumbled outside, making the windows shake. "You want to come in?" The words came out before Naomi could stop them. Ethan looked surprised. "Are you sure?" "No," she thought. But she said, "Yeah, why not?" He followed her inside. Lisa emerged from her bedroom with her phone flashlight. "Oh, hey, you're the pale preference guy." "Lisa," Naomi said, giving her a look. Ethan laughed. "Yeah, that's me. I'm never living that down, am I?" "Probably not," Lisa said cheerfully. "Want some wine? We've got 3 bottles and nothing else to do." "I shouldn't," Ethan started. "Oh, come on. Naomi won't bite." "Much." Despite herself, Naomi smiled. Lisa had a way of making everyone comfortable, even in the most awkward situations. They ended up sitting in the living room, drinking wine by candlelight while the storm raged outside. Lisa dominated the conversation at first, asking Ethan about his job, architect, his hobbies, running, though he hadn't gone in weeks, and whether he thought they'd ever fix the elevator. Probably not, but eventually Lisa yawned and announced she was going to bed. "Some of us have early meetings. Try not to murder each other." She disappeared into her room, leaving Naomi and Ethan alone. "She's something," Ethan said. "She's the best," Naomi replied. "Known her since college. She convinced me to move here." "From where?" "Philadelphia. I needed a change." Ethan nodded slowly. "Fresh start kind of thing?" "Something like that." The candles flickered. Outside, the rain had softened to a steady patter. Naomi pulled the blanket tighter around herself. "Can I ask you something?" Ethan said. "Depends on the question. What do you do? For work, I mean." "Marketing designer. I do branding, graphics, social media campaigns. Freelance, mostly." "That's cool. Creative stuff." "Yeah." Naomi looked at him. "What about you? You said architect. Residential buildings." "I work for a firm downtown. It's good, stable." He paused. "Also kind of boring sometimes." "Do you like it?" Ethan seemed to really think about that. "I'm good at it." "That's not the same thing, though, is it?" "No," Naomi said softly. "It's not." The lights flickered, then came back on. Both of them blinked in the sudden brightness. "Well," Ethan said, standing, "I should go. Let you get some sleep." Naomi walked him to the door. "Thanks for checking on us." "Thanks for the wine." He smiled, and this time it seemed genuine. Not charming or practiced, just real. "And for giving me another chance." "Sort of." "Sort of," Naomi echoed. After he left, she stood by the door for a moment, thinking. Maybe Ethan Cole wasn't as bad as his first impression. Maybe. But she'd been wrong about men before, and she wasn't ready to be wrong again. The next morning, Naomi woke to find a small bouquet of white roses outside her door with a note. Another apology. E. She picked them up, studying the perfect white petals. They were pretty. Expensive, probably. Lisa emerged from the bathroom, saw the flowers, and grinned. "Oh, he's trying." "It's just flowers," Naomi said. "Uh-huh." Naomi knocked on Ethan's door. He answered quickly, looking nervous. "Hey, did you—" "Got them," Naomi said, holding up the bouquet. She raised an eyebrow. "You're really trying to fix sexism with flowers?" Ethan's face fell. "I just thought—" Then Naomi smiled. "I'm kidding. They're nice, thank you." The relief on his face was almost comical. "Oh, thank God. I wasn't sure if you'd think it was too much, or not enough, or—" "Ethan." "Yeah? They're just flowers. It's fine." "Right. Okay. Good." Lisa appeared behind Naomi. Very smooth architect boy. Both Naomi and Ethan laughed, and just like that, some of the tension dissolved. It wasn't forgiveness exactly, but it was something. A beginning, maybe. Over the next few days, Naomi found herself running into Ethan more often. In the hallway, at the mailboxes, in the lobby, At first she wondered if he was doing it on purpose, but he always seemed genuinely surprised to see her. One evening she was on her balcony editing photos on her laptop when she heard him come out onto his. The sun was setting, painting everything orange and gold. "Working late?" Ethan called over. "Client revision. Always client revisions." "I feel that. I've been redrawing the same lobby design for 3 days." They fell into an easy pattern after that. Most evenings, if the weather was nice, they'd end up on their balconies around the same time. Sometimes they talked. Sometimes they just existed in comfortable silence, each doing their own thing. Mrs. Duffy, the elderly woman who lived on the 3rd floor, caught them one evening. She'd come up to water her rooftop plants and spotted them. "Look at you two," she said, her voice carrying. "Beautiful young people wasting beautiful sunsets by sitting apart." Naomi felt her face heat up. "We're just neighbors, Mrs. Duffy." "Mm-hmm. That's what they all say." The old woman winked at Ethan, who looked equally embarrassed. After she left, Naomi and Ethan burst out laughing. "She's not subtle," Ethan said. "Not even a little." Naomi glanced over at the divider between their balconies. She could just see Ethan's silhouette against the city lights. Her heart did a small, unexpected flip. "Oh no," she thought. "Don't do this. Don't catch feelings for the neighbor who insulted you. Don't be that stupid." But her heart wasn't listening. Saturday morning changed everything. Naomi was in the lobby, checking her mailbox, when she heard a familiar voice behind her. "Naomi." She froze. That voice. She knew that voice. She turned slowly. Andre stood by the front door, looking exactly the same. Tall, handsome, with that smile that used to make her melt. Now it just made her tired. "What are you doing here?" she asked. "I wanted to see you." "Talk." He walked closer. "You left Philly without really saying goodbye." "I said goodbye. You just didn't want to hear it. Come on, baby. We had 3 good years. Don't they count for something?" Naomi's hands clenched. "Don't call me that. And we had 3 years where you tried to turn me into someone else. That's not the same thing." The elevator dinged. Ethan stepped out, saw them, and stopped. His eyes moved from Naomi to Andre and back again. "Everything okay?" Ethan asked carefully. "Fine," Naomi said quickly. "This is Andre. He was just leaving." Andre looked Ethan up and down, his expression hardening. "Who's this? Your new boyfriend?" "None of your business," Naomi said. But the damage was done. She could see Ethan's expression change, closing off. He nodded at both of them. "I'll let you talk." He headed for the stairs, not waiting for the elevator. "Ethan, wait." Naomi started, but he was already gone. She turned on Andre. "You need to leave, now." "I came all this way." "I don't care. We're done, Andre. We've been done. Stop showing up in my life." Something in her voice must have finally gotten through, because Andre's face fell. "You really mean it." "I really mean it." He stood there for another moment, then nodded slowly. "Okay, I'm sorry for bothering you." He left, the door closing softly behind him. Naomi sagged against the mailboxes, her heart pounding. She wasn't upset that Andre had come. She was upset that Ethan had seen it, had misunderstood. Why did she care what Ethan thought? But she knew why. Somewhere in the past week, between the balcony conversations and the late-night wine and his genuine apologies, she'd started to like him, really like him, and now he probably thought she was getting back with her ex. Naomi waited until evening, then knocked on Ethan's door. He answered but didn't invite her in. "Hey," she said. "Hey, can we talk?" Ethan leaned against the doorframe. "Sure. This morning in the lobby." That wasn't what it looked like. "You don't have to explain," Ethan said. His voice was polite but distant. "Your relationship is your business. We don't have a relationship. That's my ex." He showed up uninvited. Ethan's expression shifted slightly. "Oh, yeah. I told him to leave and not come back." Naomi crossed her arms. "I just wanted you to know. I don't know why I wanted you to know, but I did." Something warm flickered in Ethan's eyes. "I'm glad you told me." "Are you?" "Yeah." He smiled, that real smile she was starting to recognize. "I didn't like thinking you were back with someone who made you look that miserable." "He did make me miserable. For a long time." Naomi took a breath. "He spent 3 years trying to change me, make me quieter, more agreeable, less me. When I finally left, it felt like I could breathe again." Ethan stepped aside. "Come in?" This time she did. His apartment was the mirror image of hers, but decorated completely differently. Clean lines, minimal furniture, everything perfectly organized. "Very architect," she said. He laughed. "Is that good or bad?" "Neither. Just very you." They sat on his couch. Outside, the sun was setting again, painting the walls golden. "Thank you for telling me about Andre." Ethan said quietly. Thank you for listening. Can I say something? Okay. That day on the rooftop, when I said all that stupid stuff about wanting someone quiet and delicate, I was describing what I thought I should want, what would make me look good, fit the image. He looked at her. But the truth is, I've been following everyone else's expectations my whole life. My parents, my firm, society. And I'm tired, Naomi. I'm so tired of being what everyone else wants. Naomi's chest tightened. I know that feeling. I know you do. That's why... He stopped, shook his head. Never mind. Why what? That's why I can't stop thinking about you, Ethan said softly. Because you're brave enough to be yourself, even when it's hard, even when guys like me say stupid things at parties. Naomi didn't know what to say. Her heart was beating too fast. Sorry, Ethan said quickly. That was probably too honest. No, Naomi said. It was just honest enough. They sat there as the room grew darker, the city lights starting to glow outside. Something had shifted between them, something real and fragile and maybe, just maybe, worth protecting. A week later, Marcus cornered Ethan at work. Hey man, some of us are planning a charity thing on the building's rooftop, fundraiser for the community center. Want to help host? Sure, Ethan said, only half listening. Great. We'll need someone to handle design stuff too. Hey, doesn't your neighbor do that, the one who... Marcus made a face. Her name's Naomi. Right. Think she'd help? Ethan considered. Working with Naomi meant spending more time with her, which he wanted, but it also meant navigating whatever this thing between them was becoming, in public, with witnesses. I'll ask her, he said finally. That evening he knocked on her door. Lisa answered, grinning. Loverboy, come to sweep my roommate off her feet. Lisa, Naomi called from inside. Stop, just saying what we're all thinking. Lisa stepped aside. She's on the balcony. Ethan found Naomi there, wrapped in a blanket against the cool evening air. She looked up when he appeared. Hi, she said. Hi. So Marcus wants to do this charity event on the rooftop, fundraiser for the local community center. He asked if you'd help with the design work. Naomi raised an eyebrow. That means we'd be working together. Yeah. Are you okay with that? Are you? She smiled slowly. Yeah, I think I am. Okay then. It's a date. I mean, not a date. A work thing, Ethan. Yeah, I know what you meant. She was still smiling. I'll help. He left feeling lighter than he had in weeks, but as he was getting ready for bed, his phone rang. His mother. Hi, Mom. Ethan, darling. How are you? Fine. Busy. That's wonderful. Listen, I was talking to Patricia Summers at the club and her daughter Rebecca is moving to New York. I thought you might... Mom, I'm not interested in being set up. A pause. Why not? Rebecca is lovely, well-educated, comes from a good family. I'm seeing someone. The words came out before he thought them through, but as soon as he said them, he realized he wanted them to be true. Another pause, longer this time. Oh, who? Her name's Naomi. She lives in my building. I see. And what does she do? She's a designer. Marketing and branding. How nice. His mother's voice had gone carefully neutral. Well, I look forward to meeting her someday. After they hung up, Ethan sat there, knowing he'd just complicated things. His mother had a way of making her opinions known without saying them directly. And he could already hear the questions she hadn't asked. Is she from a good family? Does she fit your world? Will she help your career or hurt it? Next door, he could hear Naomi and Lisa laughing about something. The sound made him smile despite his worry. Whatever was happening between him and Naomi, it was real, messy and complicated and real, and maybe that was exactly what he needed. But first, he had a rooftop event to plan, with the woman who'd called him out in front of everyone, and somehow made him want to be better. This should be interesting. The rooftop on Monday morning looked different in daylight. Naomi arrived with her laptop and a notebook full of ideas. Ethan was already there, laying out papers on one of the tables. You're early, she said. He looked up, startled. So are you. Can't help it. I get excited about new projects. She set her things down. So what's the vision here? They spent the next hour brainstorming. At first it was awkward. They'd trip over each other's sentences or suggest the same thing at the same time. But gradually, they found a rhythm. What about lights? Ethan suggested. String them across the whole space. Warm white or colored? Warm white. Keep it elegant. Naomi made a note. And for the tables, you want formal or casual? What do you think? She looked up, surprised. Andre never asked what she thought. He just told her. Casual, she said. Make people comfortable. This is a community fundraiser, not a corporate event. Casual it is. They worked through lunch, not noticing the time. Marcus showed up around 2, grinning when he saw them huddled over color samples. "Look at you two, getting along." "We're being professional," Naomi said, not looking up. "Very professional," Ethan agreed. But he was smiling. Marcus clapped Ethan on the shoulder. "Good. Because my last idea was to just throw some chairs up here and call it a day." After Marcus left, Ethan turned to Naomi. "Want to take a break? There's a good coffee shop around the corner." "Sure." They walked there in comfortable silence. The afternoon sun was warm and the streets were busy with people. Naomi found herself watching Ethan from the corner of her eye. He walked with confidence, but not arrogance. And when someone bumped into him on the sidewalk, he apologized even though it wasn't his fault. At the coffee shop, they grabbed a table by the window. "So," Ethan said, stirring sugar into his coffee, "what got you into design?" "Art teacher in high school, Mrs. Chen. She was the first person who told me I was good at something creative." Naomi took a sip of her latte. "Before that, I thought I had to be a doctor or lawyer or something practical. Let me guess. Your parents wanted practical, didn't yours?" Ethan laughed. "My parents wanted architect, specifically architect. My dad's an architect. His dad was an architect. It's the family business." "Do you like it?" He considered this. "I like creating spaces where people feel good, but sometimes I wonder what I would have chosen if no one was watching." "What would you have chosen?" "Maybe nothing different. Maybe something completely different. That's the problem. I don't know." He looked at her. "Does that make sense?" "Yeah," Naomi said softly. "It does." When they got back to the building, Lisa was waiting in the lobby. She took one look at them, both carrying coffee, both smiling, and grinned. "Oh, you two are in trouble," she said. "We were working," Naomi protested. "Uh-huh. That's why you're both glowing." "We are not." But Lisa was already heading for the elevator, laughing. Ethan looked at Naomi. "Are we glowing?" "Apparently." "Huh?" He didn't sound upset about it. That evening, Naomi decided to cook. She made too much pasta as usual and had an idea. She walked out onto her balcony with a container of leftovers. "Ethan!" she called over the divider. He appeared a moment later. "Hey, I made too much dinner. Want some?" "How are you going to—" He stopped when she held up a small basket tied to a rope. "You're kidding." "Lisa's idea. We used to do this in college when we lived in different dorms." She lowered the basket over to his side. "Just put the container in and send it back when you're done." Ethan laughed, but he took the container. "This is the strangest thing anyone's ever done for me." "Strange good or strange bad?" "Strange perfect." They ate dinner on their separate balconies, talking between bites. The city hummed below them and the sky turned purple, then black. "Can I ask you something?" Ethan said after a while. "Sure. What did your ex do? I mean, how did he try to change you?" Naomi was quiet for a moment. "Little things at first. He'd say my laugh was too loud, so I started laughing quietly. Then he didn't like my friends. Said they were a bad influence, so I saw them less. Then it was my clothes, my music, the way I talked." She paused. "By the end, I didn't recognize myself. I'm sorry. Don't be. It taught me something important. I'm not willing to shrink for anyone anymore." "Good," Ethan said firmly. "You shouldn't have to." Later, after they said goodnight, Naomi lay in bed thinking about Ethan Cole, about the way he listened without trying to fix everything, the way he asked her opinion and actually cared about the answer, the way he made her feel seen. It was dangerous, feeling this way, but maybe, just maybe, it was worth the risk. The next morning, everything changed. Naomi was heading out for a run when she heard voices in the hallway. Ethan's voice and a woman's, older, refined, with perfect pronunciation. "I just wanted to surprise you, darling. I was in the city anyway." "You could have called, Mom." Naomi froze with her hand on the door. His mother was here. "Where's the fun in that?" The woman laughed. "Now show me this apartment you're always talking about. I want to see what my money is paying for." "You're not paying for anything. I pay my own rent. With the salary from the job your father helped you get." Naomi heard Ethan sigh. She should go back inside, give them privacy. But before she could move, her door clicked open. Lisa, not looking, walked right out into the hallway. "Oh," Lisa said, stopping short. "Sorry, didn't know you had company." Ethan turned, saw Naomi in her running clothes, and his face did something complicated. "Mom, this is—" "Hello." The woman stepped forward, and Naomi got her first look at Claire Cole. She was elegant. That was the word that came to mind. Tall, slim, with silver hair cut in a perfect bob. She wore a cream pantsuit that probably cost more than Naomi's rent. Her smile was polite but didn't reach her eyes. I'm Claire Cole, Ethan's mother. Naomi Brooks. I live next door. Claire's gaze moved over Naomi slowly, taking in her running shorts, her t-shirt, her natural hair pulled back in a headband. How nice. Are you a student? The question felt like an insult. No, I'm a designer. Oh, how creative. Lisa touched Naomi's arm. Come on, let's go. But Naomi couldn't move. She was watching Ethan, waiting for him to say something. Anything. Introduce her properly. Tell his mother she was helping with the event. Mention that they were friends. He didn't. We should go inside, Claire said to Ethan. I have some things to discuss with you. Right? Yeah. Ethan glanced at Naomi, his expression apologetic but silent. I'll see you later? Sure, Naomi said quietly. She and Lisa went downstairs. They didn't speak until they were outside. That woman is ice, Lisa said. Did you see Ethan's face? Yeah, he looked like he wanted to say something, but he didn't. Naomi started walking, her throat tight. He just stood there. Maybe he was shocked. Meeting the mom is always weird. We're not dating, Lisa. Could have fooled me. Naomi ran harder than usual that morning. She was angry, which surprised her. She and Ethan weren't together. She had no claim on him. So why did his silence hurt so much? Because you're falling for him, a voice in her head whispered, and you're scared he's just like Andre. All talk about change until someone challenges him. She didn't see Ethan for 2 days. He texted once. Sorry about my mom, can we talk? But Naomi didn't respond. She needed space to think. On Thursday, an envelope appeared under her door. Inside was an invitation to a design gala her company was hosting. She'd forgotten all about it. Lisa found her staring at the invitation. You should go. I don't know. Come on. When's the last time you got dressed up and had fun? I have fun. Eating takeout in sweatpants doesn't count. Lisa grabbed the invitation. You're going. I'll help you pick an outfit. The gala was Saturday night at a hotel downtown. Naomi spent 2 hours getting ready, which felt ridiculous. But when she looked in the mirror, she had to admit Lisa was right. The red dress hugged her curves perfectly. Her hair was styled in soft curls. She looked good, more than good. Damn, Lisa said. You're going to break hearts tonight. That's not the goal. Maybe not, but I wouldn't complain if a certain architect saw you and realized what an idiot he's been. Naomi laughed, but her stomach fluttered. Would Ethan be there? Did she want him to be? The hotel ballroom was stunning. Crystal chandeliers, elegant tables, and people in expensive clothes everywhere. Naomi found her company's table and settled in with colleagues. The evening passed pleasantly. Good food, boring speeches, decent wine. Then she saw him. Ethan stood near the bar with Marcus and some other men in suits. He looked different dressed up, more like the man she'd seen that first day on the rooftop, polished and perfect. Their eyes met across the room. Ethan's face changed. His mouth opened slightly. He just stared, like he'd forgotten how to function. Marcus said something to him, but Ethan didn't respond. He just kept looking at Naomi. She felt her cheeks heat. Stop staring, she told herself, but she couldn't look away either. Finally, Marcus followed Ethan's gaze and laughed. He clapped Ethan on the shoulder and pushed him toward Naomi's table. Ethan walked over slowly. Hi. You look... He stopped, shook his head. I don't have words. Despite everything, Naomi smiled. That bad? That incredible. He cleared his throat. Can we talk? Outside, maybe. She nodded. They walked out to the hotel's terrace where the city lights spread out below them. I'm sorry, Ethan said immediately. About my mother. About not saying anything. Why didn't you? Because I'm a coward. He ran a hand through his hair. She showed up and I just froze. All my life I've tried to keep her happy, avoid conflict, be the perfect son. And I don't fit that picture. No, you don't. He looked at her. But you fit mine. The life I actually want. Not the one I'm supposed to want. Naomi's heart beat faster. What are you saying? I'm saying I like you. A lot. And I'm terrified because I've never felt this way before. And I messed up with my mother, and I'll probably mess up again because I'm new at this, but I want to try, if you'll let me. The honesty in his voice made her throat tight. I'm scared too, she admitted. My ex hurt me, and when you didn't say anything the other day, it felt familiar. Like I was being hidden again. I'm not hiding you, I was hiding from her, from the fight I knew was coming. He stepped closer. I talked to her yesterday, told her about you, about us. There is no us. There could be. Naomi looked up at him. The night air was cool, and somewhere below them, the city hummed with life. She thought about Andre, about all the ways he'd made her smaller. Then she thought about Ethan on his balcony, listening to her stories. Ethan asking her opinion. Ethan admitting he didn't have it all figured out. "I need you to promise me something," she said quietly. "Anything. Don't try to change me, and don't let other people make you ashamed of me. Never." His voice was fierce. "Naomi, you're the first real thing I've felt in years. I'm not giving that up. Not for my mother, not for anyone." She wanted to believe him, but words were easy. Actions were harder. "Then wait," she said. "Wait. Wait until I feel safe. Until I trust that you mean what you're saying." She touched his arm lightly. "Can you do that?" Ethan covered her hand with his. "Then I'll wait, however long it takes." They stood there, the city lights reflecting in his eyes. And for the first time since her divorce, Naomi thought maybe, just maybe, she could risk her heart again. The week before the rooftop event was chaos. Naomi and Ethan worked almost every evening, setting up lights and testing decorations. The tension between them had shifted. It wasn't gone, but it felt different now. Charged. Waiting. The day before the event, rain threatened. Dark clouds rolled in as they did the final setup. "Should we move everything inside?" Naomi asked, looking up at the sky. "Let's just cover what we can. The forecast says it'll clear by tomorrow." They worked quickly, securing tablecloths and protecting the sound equipment. Rain started falling, light at first, then harder. "Come on." Ethan grabbed her hand, pulling her toward the covered area near the elevator. They made it just as the downpour hit. Both of them were laughing, soaked through. "So much for staying dry," Naomi said, wringing out her shirt. Ethan was looking at her again, that look that made her stomach flip. "What?" she asked. "Nothing. Everything. I don't know." He laughed. "You make me forget how to be cool. You were never cool." Ouch! Lightning cracked across the sky. Naomi jumped, and without thinking grabbed his arm. They stood there, close enough that she could feel the warmth of him despite the rain. "Naomi," Ethan said softly. "Yeah? I'm still waiting. Just so you know." "I know." The rain drummed on the roof above them. Naomi didn't let go of his arm. The night of the event arrived with perfect weather. Clear skies, warm air, and a sunset that painted everything gold. Naomi wore a simple black dress and felt good, confident. She'd worked hard on this event, and it looked beautiful. The lights glowed overhead, the tables were perfect. Even the music, carefully chosen, set the right mood. People arrived in groups, laughing and talking. Mrs. Duffy came over to compliment Naomi on the decorations. "You did a wonderful job, dear." "Thank you. Ethan helped too." "Oh, I know." Mrs. Duffy's eyes twinkled. "You two make a beautiful pair." Before Naomi could respond, someone called for Mrs. Duffy, and she wandered off. Ethan appeared at Naomi's side. He looked good in dark jeans and a white button-down shirt. "Everything okay?" "Perfect." "You?" "Perfect." He smiled. "We did good. We did." The evening flowed beautifully. People donated generously to the community center. The food was good. The music was better. Naomi found herself relaxing, enjoying the night. Around 9, Marcus took the small stage to thank everyone for coming. He was funny, charming, getting laughs from the crowd. "And I have to give credit to our amazing planning team," Marcus said. "Ethan Cole, who organized this whole thing despite being completely useless at anything creative," everyone laughed. "And Naomi Brooks, who somehow managed to work with him without murdering him." More laughter. "Seriously, though," Marcus continued, grinning, "it's great to see Ethan finally taming the wild one." The laughter continued, but Naomi's smile froze. Taming the wild one, like she was an animal. Something to be controlled. She looked at Ethan. He'd gone pale, his eyes wide, but he didn't say anything. Didn't correct Marcus, didn't defend her, just like with his mother. The silence stretched for only a second, but it felt like forever. Then Marcus moved on to other thank yous, and the moment passed, except it hadn't. Not for Naomi. She turned and walked away from the crowd, heading toward the far edge of the rooftop. Her hands shook. Why was she so upset? It was just a joke. Marcus didn't mean anything by it. But Ethan's silence, that meant something. Behind her she heard footsteps. "Naomi, wait!" She spun around. Ethan stood there, reaching for her. "Don't," she said quietly. "He didn't mean it. Marcus just—" "I don't care what Marcus meant. I care that you didn't say anything." Her voice stayed calm, but her eyes burned. "Again. I was going to—" "When?" "After everyone laughed. After the joke was over." She shook her head. "You know what bothers me most? You promised you wouldn't let people make you ashamed of me. But that's exactly what just happened. I'm not ashamed. Then why didn't you speak up?" She stepped back when he reached for her again. Silence says more than words ever could, Ethan. I learned that with Andre, and I'm not doing it again. Naomi, please. But she was already walking toward the elevator. The rain had started again, light drops that quickly grew heavier. By the time she reached the stairs, she was getting wet, but she didn't care. Behind her, the rooftop party continued. Music and laughter and people who hadn't noticed anything wrong. Ethan stood alone in the rain, watching her go. And this time, finally, too late, he understood what he'd lost. Ethan didn't sleep that night. He lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying everything. Marcus's joke, the crowd's laughter, Naomi's face, his own frozen silence. He'd done it again. When it mattered most, he'd chosen comfort over courage. Around 6 in the morning, he gave up on sleep. His phone showed 3 texts from Marcus. Man, I'm sorry about the joke. Didn't think. Is Naomi okay? Call me. Ethan deleted them without responding. Marcus wasn't the problem. Ethan was. He made coffee and stood on his balcony as the sun came up. The city was quiet at this hour, peaceful. Next door, Naomi's balcony was empty, her curtains drawn. He'd lost her. The thought made his chest ache. Around 9, someone knocked on his door. Ethan opened it to find Mrs. Duffy standing there with a plate of cookies. I saw what happened last night, she said, walking past him into the apartment. Sit down, young man. We need to talk. Ethan sat. Mrs. Duffy settled into his armchair like she owned it. You messed up, she said bluntly. I know. That girl, Naomi, she's special, strong, the kind of woman who makes you better just by being around her. Mrs. Duffy fixed him with a sharp look. And you let some fool embarrass her while you stood there like a statue. I froze. I didn't know what to say. That's the problem with your generation, always thinking. Sometimes you just have to act. She leaned forward. You love her? The question caught Ethan off guard, but the answer came easily. Yes. Then you need to fix this, and not with flowers or pretty words. With action. How? Mrs. Duffy smiled. If you want her to listen, speak where she heard you first. Ethan thought about that. The rooftop, that first day when he'd said those stupid, arrogant things. A public apology, he said slowly. Now you're catching on. Mrs. Duffy stood. But before you do that, you need to deal with your mother. What? I've lived a long time, dear. I know when someone's afraid of disappointing their family, but you can't build a future if you're still trapped in the past. After she left, Ethan sat there for a long time. Then he picked up his phone and called his mother. The video call connected. Claire Cole appeared on screen, sitting in her pristine living room back in Connecticut. Ethan, darling. What a surprise. We need to talk, Mom. Something in his voice made her expression shift. What's wrong? Everything. Ethan took a breath. I'm in love with Naomi Brooks, the woman you met in the hallway, and I've been a coward about it. Claire was quiet for a moment. I see. No, I don't think you do. He ran a hand through his hair. All my life, I've tried to be what you and Dad wanted. The right schools, the right job, the right friends. But I'm 30 years old, and I'm miserable. You're not miserable. You have a wonderful life that you designed. His voice was firm, but not angry. I'm not blaming you, Mom, but I need you to hear this. Naomi is everything I didn't know I needed. She's brave and honest, and she calls me out when I'm being fake. And when you met her, I said nothing. I let you judge her, and I stayed silent. Claire's face had gone pale. Ethan, I'm ashamed of that. Not of her, of myself. He leaned closer to the camera. Last night, someone made a joke about her in front of a crowd, and I froze again. I let her walk away because I was too scared to stand up and defend her. His mother was quiet. When she spoke, her voice was softer. I raised you to care about appearances, about what people think. I know, that wasn't fair to you. She looked away, then back. Your father and I, we came from nothing. We built everything through image and connections. I taught you that because I thought it would protect you. But it didn't, did it? No, Mom, it made me afraid to be real. Claire wiped her eyes. Ethan had never seen his mother cry. I'm sorry. Truly. I was rude to that girl, to Naomi, because she wasn't what I expected. But that says more about me than her. She's not a girl, she's a woman. An incredible woman who deserves better than how I've treated her. Then fix it. His mother's voice was stronger now. Don't make my mistakes, Ethan. Don't choose fear over love. They talked for another hour. Really talked, maybe for the first time in years. When they finally hung up, Ethan felt lighter. Not perfect, but better. Now he just had to figure out how to win Naomi back. Naomi spent the weekend in her apartment, working and avoiding the world. Lisa tried to cheer her up, but nothing helped. You really like him? Lisa said Sunday afternoon. Liked. Past tense. Naomi, he had 2 chances, Lisa. 2. And both times, he chose silence. She closed her laptop. I can't be with someone who's ashamed to stand up for me. Maybe he's just scared. Then he needs to deal with that. I'm done waiting for men to be brave. Lisa hugged her. You deserve someone who's already brave, or at least trying to be. That evening, Naomi found an envelope under her door. Inside was an invitation, handwritten. Please come to the rooftop tomorrow at 7 p.m. I need to say something, Ethan. She almost threw it away, but something made her keep it. Monday evening arrived with the same golden light as that first rooftop gathering weeks ago. Naomi stood in her apartment, staring at the invitation. You should go, Lisa said from the doorway. Why? So he can apologize in private and think that fixes everything? Or so you can get closure? Either way, you'll know. Naomi looked at herself in the mirror. She wore jeans and a simple blue top. Nothing fancy. If she was doing this, she was doing it as herself. Come with me, she asked Lisa. Of course. They took the elevator up. When the doors opened, Naomi's breath caught. The rooftop was set up almost exactly like it had been that first day. String lights glowing overhead. Small groups of people scattered around. Even the drinks table in the same spot. Mrs. Duffy appeared immediately. Oh good, you came. Go on, dear. He's waiting. What is this? Naomi asked. You'll see. Lisa squeezed her hand. I'll be right here. Naomi walked toward the center of the rooftop. People turned to look at her. She recognized most of them. Neighbors, people from the charity event. And there, standing near the same spot where she'd first heard him, was Ethan. He looked nervous. Good, she thought. Ethan saw her and his whole face changed. Relief and fear and hope all mixed together. Thank you for coming, he said quietly as she approached. What is this, Ethan? An apology. A real one. He took a breath, then raised his voice. Can I have everyone's attention? The rooftop went quiet. Naomi's heart started racing. Most of you were here a few weeks ago when I said something incredibly stupid. Ethan's voice was clear, steady. I said I preferred delicate, pale, quiet women, someone who fits the room, not overpowers it. A few people shifted uncomfortably. Naomi felt frozen. I meant it when I said it, Ethan continued, because I was describing what I thought would make me look good, what would fit the image I'd built for myself. He paused. But I was wrong. About everything. He turned to look directly at Naomi. What I needed was strength and soul, intelligence and courage. Someone who would challenge me to be better instead of letting me stay comfortable. His voice softened. Naomi, you overpowered my carefully constructed life the second you stepped forward and called me out, and I've been running scared ever since. Naomi's throat tightened. Around them, people watched in silence. Last week, someone made a joke at your expense, and I said nothing. I let you walk away in the rain because I was too afraid to stand up in front of everyone. He shook his head. That was the second time I'd done that. The second time I'd chosen my comfort over your dignity. Ethan, Naomi started. Let me finish. Please. He stepped closer. I come from a family that values image over authenticity. I was taught to care more about what people think than what's true. And I'm done with that. I'm done being the perfect son, the perfect colleague, the perfect neighbor. I want to be real, even if it's messy. A few people smiled. Mrs. Duffy was openly grinning. I can't promise I'll always be brave, Ethan said, but I can promise I'll try. Every day I'll try to be the man you deserve, the man who stands up for you, who celebrates you instead of trying to quiet you down. He took a breath. I'm in love with you, Naomi, and I'm done being silent about it. The rooftop was completely quiet now. Naomi could hear her own heartbeat. I hurt you, Ethan continued. Twice, and I understand if you can't forgive that. But I'm asking for a chance to prove I can change, to show you that I mean what I'm saying. Naomi stood there, emotions warring inside her. Part of her wanted to run, the part that Andre had damaged, that didn't trust pretty words anymore. But another part, the stronger part, saw the fear in Ethan's eyes, the vulnerability. This wasn't easy for him. He was standing in front of all their neighbors, admitting his mistakes, putting his heart on the line. That took courage. That was quite a speech, she said finally. I meant every word. I know. She looked around at all the watching faces, then back at him. But you understand this is humiliating, right? Having all these people watch us? Ethan's face fell. I'm sorry, I thought. Thunder rumbled. Everyone looked up as clouds rolled in, fast and dark. Of course, someone muttered. Just like last time. The first drops fell, then more. Within seconds it was pouring. People scattered, laughing and covering their heads. The rooftop emptied quickly as everyone ran for shelter. Naomi stood in the rain, looking at Ethan. Neither of them moved. "I'm sorry," he said again, rain streaming down his face. "I thought doing it publicly would show you I wasn't hiding anymore. But I should have asked what you wanted instead of assuming." She kissed him. It wasn't gentle or tentative. She stepped forward, grabbed his wet shirt, and kissed him hard. Ethan made a surprised sound, then pulled her closer, his hands in her hair. The rain poured down around them. Naomi didn't care. For the first time in years, she felt completely, wholly herself. No shrinking, no hiding, just her, kissing a man who'd been brave enough to stand up and tell the truth. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ethan stared at her in wonder. "Does this mean—" he started. "It means I'm willing to try," Naomi said. "But Ethan, if you ever choose silence over me again—" "I won't, I swear." "Good." She smiled, really smiled. "Now can we get out of this rain before we drown?" They ran for the covered area, laughing. Mrs. Duffy was there, watching them with satisfaction. "About time," she said. They ended up in Ethan's apartment, both soaked through. He gave her a towel and one of his shirts to change into. "I'm keeping this," Naomi said, pulling on the oversized shirt. It hung to her knees. "It's yours." Ethan had changed into dry clothes, too. His hair was still damp, sticking up funny. "Everything I have is yours." "Smooth." "I'm trying." They sat on his couch, close, but not touching yet. The rain drummed against the windows. "I was scared," Naomi said quietly. "When you said all those things on the rooftop, I wanted to believe you, but I'd let you down before." "Yeah." She looked at him. "I need to know you're serious about this, about us, because I can't go through another relationship where I'm made to feel like I'm too much." "You're not too much." Ethan's voice was fierce. "You're everything, and I'm sorry it took me so long to show you that. Your mother doesn't think so. I talked to her yesterday, told her everything." He took Naomi's hand. "She wants to meet you again, properly." Naomi's eyebrows rose. "Really?" She apologized, said she was wrong to judge you. That she raised me to care too much about appearances, and she's sorry for that. He squeezed her hand. "You don't have to meet her if you don't want to, but I hope you will, eventually." "I don't know, Ethan. That first meeting was awful, I know, but she's trying. We both are." He shifted closer. "I'm not asking you to forgive everything right away. Just give me time to prove I'm different." Naomi studied his face. The fear was still there, but so was determination and hope. "Okay," she said softly. "Time." Ethan's whole body relaxed. "Thank you." They sat in comfortable silence, listening to the rain. After a while, Naomi leaned against him, and he wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "Can I ask you something?" she said. "Anything. When did you know that you loved me?" Ethan thought about that. Probably that first night on the balcony, when you called me out for being fake. No one had ever done that before. "Everyone else just lets me perform, but you wanted the real version." He paused. "What about you? The power outage, when you admitted you were lonely." She looked up at him. "You let me see something real, and I couldn't stop thinking about it. So we've been dancing around this for weeks." "Apparently." He kissed the top of her head. "I'm glad we stopped dancing." "Me too." Outside, the storm began to fade. The rain softened to a gentle patter. And inside Ethan's apartment, something new was beginning. Something real and messy and absolutely worth fighting for. The next week passed in a blur. Naomi and Ethan took things slow, learning each other properly this time. Coffee dates, long conversations on their balconies, holding hands in the hallway where his mother had first met her. Lisa approved. "He's different," she told Naomi. "You can see it in how he looks at you." "How does he look at me?" "Like you hung the moon." Marcus apologized profusely for his joke. Naomi accepted because he seemed genuinely remorseful, and because Ethan had pulled him aside and explained firmly why it wasn't okay. "I didn't realize," Marcus said to Naomi. "I'm really sorry." "Just think before you talk next time," Naomi replied. "Deal." On Friday evening, Ethan knocked on her door with takeout and a nervous expression. "What?" Naomi asked, letting him in. "My mom wants to meet you. For real this time." "Coffee tomorrow?" Naomi's stomach flipped. "Already? You can say no, I'll understand." She thought about it. Part of her wanted to refuse. That first meeting still stung, but Claire had apologized to Ethan. And if this relationship was going to work, they'd have to deal with family eventually. "Okay," she said, "but you're buying, obviously." The cafe was quiet and elegant, the kind of place where people spoke in low voices. Naomi wore a simple dress, Pretty, but not trying too hard. Ethan held her hand under the table. Claire arrived exactly on time. She looked the same as before, perfectly put together, but her expression was different, softer. "Naomi," she said, extending her hand, "thank you for agreeing to meet." They shook. Naomi gestured to the chair. "Please sit." The first few minutes were awkward. They ordered coffee and made small talk about the weather. But then Claire set down her cup and looked directly at Naomi. "I owe you an apology, a real one." Her voice was steady. "When I met you that day, I was rude. I judged you based on nothing but my own narrow expectations. That was wrong." Naomi blinked, surprised by the directness. "I raised my son to value image over substance," Claire continued, "to care what people think more than what's true. And I'm ashamed of that now, because it nearly cost him the best thing that's happened to him in years." Ethan squeezed Naomi's hand under the table. "Thank you," Naomi said quietly. "That means a lot. You've made him brave." Claire smiled, and this time it reached her eyes. "I haven't seen Ethan stand up for something, for someone, like that since he was a child. You brought that back, and I'm grateful." They talked for another hour. Claire asked about Naomi's work, her family, her life, real questions with real interest. It wasn't perfect. There were still moments of tension, but it was honest. As they were leaving, Claire hugged Naomi. "Take care of my son. He's fragile under all that polish." "I know," Naomi said, "so am I." "Then take care of each other." In the car afterward, Ethan let out a long breath. "That went better than I expected. Your mum's not so bad when she's being real. None of us are." He took her hand. "Thank you for giving us another chance. Thank you for earning it." That evening, Naomi found Ethan on his balcony as the sun set. She knocked on the divider. "Permission to cross enemy lines?" she called. He laughed. "Granted." She climbed carefully over the divider, not graceful but manageable, and settled into the chair next to his. "Hi," he said. "Hi." They watched the city lights come on as the sky turned purple, then black. Somewhere below, car horns honked. Music drifted up from a nearby apartment. The city hummed with life. "I could get used to this," Naomi said. "Sitting on balconies? Being with someone who doesn't try to change me." Ethan turned to look at her. In the dim light, his eyes were serious. "I don't want to change you. I want to know you, all of you. The loud parts and the quiet parts, the easy parts and the hard parts. Even when I'm difficult, especially then." He smiled. "You keep me honest." Naomi leaned over and kissed him softly. "Good, because I plan to keep doing that." A door opened below. Mrs. Duffy's voice drifted up. "See those two up there? I knew they'd figure it out." "Are we neighborhood gossip now?" Naomi asked, pulling back. "Apparently." Ethan didn't look upset about it. "Want to give them something to really talk about?" "Like what?" He stood and pulled her to her feet. "Like this." He kissed her properly this time, his hands gentle in her hair. Naomi melted into it, feeling safe and wanted and completely herself. Below them, Mrs. Duffy and whoever she was talking to applauded. Naomi laughed against Ethan's lips. "We're never living this down." "I'm okay with that." "Me too." They stayed on the balcony until late, talking about everything and nothing, making plans, sharing dreams, learning the small details that made each other real. And when the night got cold and they finally went inside, Ethan walked Naomi to her door like it was their first date. "Good night," he said. "Good night." She paused with her hand on the doorknob. "Ethan? Yeah? I'm glad you lost your word that day." He smiled, understanding. "Me too." She went inside, but before closing the door she looked back at him. He was still standing there watching her with that expression Lisa had described, like she'd hung the moon. Maybe she had, or maybe they'd hung it together. Either way, it was pretty beautiful. The following week felt different. Naomi woke up each morning with a lightness in her chest she hadn't felt in years. It wasn't just happiness, it was peace, the kind that came from being genuinely known by someone and loved anyway. Wednesday evening, she invited Ethan over for coffee. Not a date exactly, more like a conversation they needed to have. He arrived with pastries from the bakery down the street. "Peace offering," he said, "in case this is one of those serious talks." "It is, but the pastries help." She let him in and gestured to the couch. "Sit." They settled in with coffee and croissants. Outside, the city was settling into evening, lights starting to glow. "So," Naomi said, curling her legs under her, "we should talk about what this is, what we're doing." Ethan nodded. "I agree. I like you, obviously, but I need to be honest about something." She took a breath. "I'm scared, really scared." My last relationship messed me up more than I like to admit, and jumping into something new, even with you, it terrifies me. That's fair. So I need us to take this slow, not because I don't care about you, but because I need to rebuild my trust. In men, in relationships, in myself. Ethan set down his coffee. Naomi, we can go as slow as you need. There's no rush. I'm not going anywhere. You say that now. I mean it. His voice was firm. You're not a finish line I'm racing toward. You're a person I want to know, really know, and that takes time. The sincerity in his eyes made her throat tight. Okay, good. But I need something too, Ethan said. What? Communication. If I mess up, and I probably will, tell me. Don't just pull away. Give me a chance to fix it. Naomi considered this. Andre used to say similar things, but then he'd get angry when she actually spoke up. What if you don't like what I say? Then we'll talk about it like adults. Fight if we need to, but we'll work through it. He reached for her hand. I'm not Andre. I'm not going to punish you for being honest. Promise? Promise. They spent the rest of the evening talking through boundaries and expectations, what they needed from each other, what scared them, what they hoped for. It wasn't romantic in the traditional sense, but it felt important, foundational. When Ethan left that night, he kissed her forehead. Thank you for trusting me enough to have that conversation. Thank you for listening. After he left, Lisa emerged from her room. You two are disgustingly healthy, Naomi laughed. Is that bad? No. It's just weird after watching you date that disaster for 3 years. Lisa flopped onto the couch. This is what relationships should look like. Boring and functional. It's not boring. You just spent 2 hours discussing emotional boundaries. That's the definition of boring. Lisa grinned. But it's good boring. Keep it up. The next few weeks fell into a pattern. Ethan and Naomi saw each other most evenings, but they also kept their own lives. She worked on client projects. He dealt with his firm. They didn't try to merge everything immediately, but the small moments built up. Coffee on Saturday mornings, late-night conversations on their balconies, Ethan teaching Naomi about architecture while they walked through the city, Naomi showing him how to see color and composition everywhere. One afternoon, Ethan's phone rang while they were having lunch in her apartment. He glanced at the screen and his expression changed. It's my dad, he said. I should probably take it, Naomi said. I'll give you privacy. She went into her bedroom but couldn't help overhearing parts of the conversation through the thin walls. Yes, Dad, I'm seeing someone. Her name's Naomi. She's a designer. No, I don't think you need to run a background check. Dad, I'm 30 years old. Naomi's stomach tightened. She'd met his mother, but his father sounded like a different challenge entirely. When Ethan knocked on her door 20 minutes later, he looked exhausted. That bad? She asked. He wants to meet you. Make sure you're appropriate. Ethan made air quotes around the last word. I told him he doesn't get a say in my relationships, and he didn't take it well. What did he say? That I'm making a mistake, that I'm throwing away the family reputation for... He stopped. It doesn't matter what he said, but it did matter. Naomi could see it on his face. Tell me. Ethan sat on her bed. He said, I'm letting lust cloud my judgment. That in a few months I'll realize you don't fit our world, and then I'll have embarrassed the family for nothing. The words stung, but Naomi kept her voice steady. And what did you say? I told him he was wrong, that you're the best thing that's happened to me, and if he can't respect that, he doesn't need to be part of my life. Ethan looked up at her. I meant it, Naomi. I'm done living for them. She sat beside him. That's a big decision. Cutting off family. I'm not cutting them off. I'm setting boundaries. There's a difference. He took her hand. My dad's old school, controlling. He thinks money gives him the right to run my life. But I'm not a kid anymore. Are you sure about this? About us? Because I don't want to be the reason you lose your family. You're not, they are. By refusing to accept that I get to choose my own life, he squeezed her hand. And I choose you. The certainty in his voice made her believe it, really believe it. A few days later, Naomi was working on her laptop in a coffee shop when someone slid into the seat across from her. She looked up, ready to say it was taken, and froze. Andre. Before you leave, he said quickly, just hear me out. 5 minutes. Naomi glanced toward the door, calculating, but the shop was public and crowded. She was safe. 5 minutes. I've been thinking about what you said, about how I tried to change you. Andre looked different than she remembered. Tired, less confident. You were right, I did that, and I'm sorry. Okay. I'm in therapy now, dealing with my control issues, and I wanted you to know I get it now. What I did was wrong. Naomi studied him. He seemed sincere. I appreciate you saying that, but we're not getting back together if that's what you're hoping. I know, I saw you with that guy, the one from your building. Andre managed a small smile. You looked happy, really happy. I realized I never made you look like that. No, you didn't. Does he treat you well? The question surprised her. Yeah, he does. Good. Andre stood. That's all I wanted to say. I'm sorry for how I treated you. You deserved better. He left before she could respond. Naomi sat there, processing. Closure. That's what that was. The ending she'd never gotten before. She texted Ethan. Andre just apologized. Actually apologized. It was weird. His response came immediately. Are you okay? Want me to come meet you? She smiled at the phone. I'm fine, but thank you for asking. Always. That weekend, Ethan suggested they cook dinner together in his apartment. Naomi agreed, though she warned him she was better at ordering takeout than making it. We'll figure it out, he said. They did not figure it out. The pasta was overdone, the sauce was too salty. The garlic bread burned. By the time they sat down to eat, they were both laughing. This is terrible, Naomi said, poking at her pasta. The worst meal I've ever made. Should we order pizza? Definitely. While they waited for delivery, they sat on his couch and Ethan pulled her close. Can I tell you something? Sure. This is the most fun I've had in years. Burning dinner and eating pizza and just being. Naomi looked up at him. Yeah? Yeah? With everyone else, I always felt like I was performing, like I had to be perfect and impressive, but with you, I can just be messy and human. You are messy and human. I know, and you like me anyway. I really do. She kissed him softly. Even when you burn garlic bread, especially then. The pizza arrived, and they ate it on the floor, backs against the couch, talking about nothing important. These were the moments Naomi loved most. Not the grand gestures or dramatic declarations, just the quiet, ordinary comfort of being with someone who saw all of her and stayed. In early December, Mrs. Duffy knocked on Naomi's door with an invitation. Holiday party on the rooftop, nothing fancy. Just neighbors. Will there be a repeat of any embarrassing speeches? Naomi asked, smiling. Only if Ethan has more apologizing to do. Mrs. Duffy winked. See you there, dear. The party was exactly what Mrs. Duffy promised. Simple and warm. String lights glowed against the cold night air. Someone set up a small fire pit. People bundled in coats, drinking hot chocolate and talking. Naomi stood by the edge of the rooftop, looking out at the city. The skyline sparkled with holiday lights. Behind her, she heard familiar footsteps. Cold? Ethan asked, wrapping his arms around her from behind. A little. He held her closer. They stood like that, watching the city breathe below them. Remember the first time we were up here, Ethan said. When you said you wanted someone delicate and quiet. My worst moment. Also your most honest. Naomi turned in his arms to face him. You didn't know what you wanted, but you figured it out. We both did. Music started playing. Something slow and jazzy. Couples began swaying near the fire pit. Dance with me? Ethan asked. Here? In front of everyone? Especially in front of everyone. He smiled. No more hiding, remember? Naomi let him pull her close. They moved slowly, not quite in rhythm with the music, but it didn't matter. Mrs. Duffy watched them with satisfaction. Lisa gave Naomi a thumbs up from across the rooftop. People are staring, Naomi murmured. Let them. Ethan's arms tightened around her. I'm done caring what people think. I only care what you think. I think you're getting better at this. At what? Dancing? At being brave. He pulled back to look at her. You make it easy. They stayed at the party until late, laughing with neighbors and soaking in the warm community feeling. When they finally headed downstairs, Ethan walked Naomi to her door like always. Want to come in? She asked. I shouldn't. It's late. Ethan. Yeah? I want you to come in. Something shifted in his expression. Understanding and hope mixed together. Are you sure? I'm sure. They went inside quietly. Lisa was already asleep. Naomi led Ethan to her room and closed the door. We don't have to, he started. She kissed him. Not gentle this time. Deeper. Fuller. All the feelings she'd been holding back pouring out. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Ethan rested his forehead against hers. I love you, he whispered. I know I said it on the rooftop, but I need you to hear it again. I love you, Naomi. I love you too. The words felt right, true. I was scared to say it, but I do. I love you. They took things slow despite the intensity, gentle and careful with each other, learning, exploring, and when they finally fell asleep tangled together, Naomi felt something she hadn't felt in years. Safe. Christmas came with snow and cold wind. Ethan spent the morning with his parents, an obligation he couldn't avoid. But he texted Naomi throughout. "My dad's being difficult. Mom keeps asking when she'll see you again. I wish you were here. Almost done. Coming over after." Naomi smiled at each message. Lisa had gone home to her family, so Naomi was alone in the apartment. She didn't mind. The quiet was peaceful. When Ethan finally arrived in the late afternoon, he looked exhausted. "Please tell me you have wine." "I have wine." "And leftover Chinese food." "Perfect." They ate on the couch, Ethan's feet in her lap. He told her about his family dinner, how his father had made pointed comments about Ethan's choices, how his mother had defended him, surprisingly, how his younger sister had asked when she could meet Naomi. "You have a sister?" Naomi asked. "Yeah, Emma. She's at Stanford. Much smarter than me." Ethan smiled. "She said anyone who makes me stand up to Dad must be pretty special. I like her already. She'll love you." As the afternoon turned to evening, they moved to Naomi's balcony despite the cold. Wrapped in blankets, they watched the snow fall over the city. "This is my favorite Christmas," Ethan said quietly. "We're eating leftovers and freezing." "Exactly. No performance, no pressure, just us." He looked at her. "Thank you." "For what?" "For seeing me. The real me, not the version I show everyone else." Naomi leaned against him. "Thank you for letting me in." They stayed out there until their fingers went numb, then retreated inside to warmth and comfort. And later, curled up in bed, Naomi thought about how much her life had changed in just a few months. She'd moved to New York looking for a fresh start. She'd found something better, a real partnership, someone who challenged her and supported her and loved her without trying to change her. It wasn't perfect. They still argued sometimes, still had moments of doubt or fear, but they worked through it, together. New Year's Eve arrived cold and clear. The building was throwing another rooftop party, and this time Naomi was actually looking forward to it. She wore a silver dress that caught the light. Lisa had come back from her family's place and insisted on doing Naomi's makeup. "You're glowing," Lisa said, stepping back to admire her work. "It's just highlighter. It's happiness, dummy." "But sure," blamed the highlighter. When Naomi opened her door to head upstairs, Ethan was waiting in the hallway. He wore a dark suit and looked unfairly handsome. "Wow," he said. "Back at you." He held out his arm. "Shall we?" The rooftop was transformed. More lights than before. Champagne instead of beer. Someone had even set up a small stage with a local band playing. As midnight approached, everyone gathered near the edge to watch the fireworks over the city. Naomi stood with Ethan's arms around her, feeling grateful and hopeful and completely present. 10! The crowd started counting down. 9! 8! "I have something for you," Ethan said in her ear. "Now? Now." He pulled a small box from his pocket. Naomi's heart jumped. "Ethan, it's not what you think. Open it." She did. Inside was a key. "It's to my apartment," Ethan explained quickly. "Not an engagement ring or anything. Just, I want you to have a key, so you can come and go whenever. So you know you always have a place with me. 3, 2, 1, Happy New Year!" Fireworks exploded over the city. Around them, people cheered and kissed. But Naomi just looked at Ethan, her heart so full it ached. "I love you," she said. "I love you too." They kissed as the sky lit up with color, and Naomi thought about that first night on this rooftop, how angry and hurt she'd felt, how she'd never imagined it would lead here, to love, to trust, to home. A few days later, on a quiet afternoon, Naomi found Ethan on his balcony. She knocked on the divider. "Permission to enter?" "Always." She climbed over, more gracefully now with practice, and found white roses waiting on the chair. "Again with the flowers," she said, smiling. "It's become a tradition." Ethan pulled her down to sit beside him. "Every time I mess up, I bring you white roses. You didn't mess up, I know, but these are different. These are just because." Naomi picked up the bouquet, inhaling the sweet scent. Just because I love you. Just because you're here. Just because you took a chance on the guy who said the worst possible thing and still gave him a chance to be better." She set the flowers down carefully and kissed him, soft and slow and perfect. When they pulled apart, the sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of orange and pink. The city stretched out below them, alive and endless. "Do you still prefer quiet women?" Naomi asked, teasing. Ethan laughed. "Only when they're loud enough to teach me something." "Good answer. I've been practicing." They sat there as the sky darkened and the stars came out. Mrs. Duffy appeared on her balcony below and waved up at them. You two are my favorite success story, she called. We're not a story, Mrs. Duffy, Naomi called back. We're just people. Same thing, dear. Same thing. After Mrs. Duffy went inside, Ethan turned to Naomi. Can I ask you something? Sure. Move in with me? Naomi blinked. What? I know it's fast, and we said we'd take things slow, but I hate sleeping without you. I hate watching you climb over this divider every night when you could just walk through a door. He took her hand. I want to wake up next to you every morning. I want to burn dinner with you every night. I want all of it, Naomi. Her heart raced. It was fast. They'd only been together a few months. But when she thought about it, really thought about it, it didn't feel rushed. It felt right. Okay, she said, okay. Yeah, let's do it. Ethan's face lit up like the fireworks on New Year's Eve. He pulled her close and kissed her, laughing against her lips. Lisa's going to kill me for leaving, Naomi said. We'll find her another roommate. Mrs. Duffy's going to be impossible about this. I'm counting on it. They sat there planning, dreaming, building a future together. And as the city lights twinkled below and the night air turned cold, Naomi realized something important. She'd come to New York to rebuild herself, to find independence and strength, and she had. But she'd also found something she hadn't been looking for. Love that didn't ask her to be smaller, partnership that made her braver, a man who'd lost his word the moment she arrived and spent every day since learning to use his words better. It wasn't the story she'd expected, but it was exactly the story she needed. Thank you, she said quietly. For what? For being brave enough to change, for standing up, for choosing me. Ethan squeezed her hand. Thank you for calling me out when I was being an ass, for giving me a second chance, for teaching me what real love looks like. They sat there until late, wrapped in blankets, talking about everything and nothing, about paint colors for the bedroom, about whether they should get a cat, about dreams and fears and all the beautiful, messy details of building a life together. And when they finally went inside, Ethan pulled Naomi close in his bed, soon to be their bed, and whispered, I was wrong that day on the rooftop. About what? I said I wanted someone delicate and pale and quiet, but what I really wanted, what I really needed, was you, exactly as you are, strong and beautiful and loud enough to make me listen. Naomi smiled in the darkness. I'm glad you finally figured that out. Me too. Outside, the city hummed with life, and inside, two people who'd found each other in the most unexpected way drifted off to sleep, wrapped in the quiet certainty that they were exactly where they belonged, together, finally, home.